Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Black Authors Matter TV. It's March 26th and welcome to the show. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, along with my co-host,
Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Good evening, everyone.
And tonight we're going to have a little change of arrangements. I have to go to a rehearsal. As you all may know, I sing in the choir at my church, and we have an upcoming Good Friday program and Easter Sunday. And we have lots and lots of songs. So I'm going to be heading out for that. And Rhonda's going to take over the show tonight. And before I leave, I do have a few announcements. So one, the voting for the Black Authors Matter TV Awards for this year has begun. So you all can continue to vote until the voting ends on April 4th. And then we'll announce the finalists on the show on April 9th, I think it is. So on the April 9th show. Then the National Black Book Festival registration is open. We're in early bird mode, and the early bird registration ends on Sunday, March 31st, Easter Sunday it ends. After that, on April 1st, the price goes up. And I do want to let people know our registrations are 50% higher than they were this time last year. So we expect to sell out by June, maybe even sooner, because they're just coming in so fast. I'm really amazed at how much higher the registrations are this year than they were in previous years, in all the years. So that's a good thing, but don't delay if you want to sign up. And the last thing is our first two guests are with Black Odyssey Media, which is the brainchild of Entice, the fabulous Entice. So the first two are authors. They have books that I think today is their release date for both authors. So Rhonda is going to be spearheading the interviews. I'm going to say hello. And then after that, Rhonda's going to take it away. So Rhonda, our first guest is Shanee, and she has a new book that today is her release date. I'm almost positive about that. Yes. And her book is called This Time Around. So Kay will be on screen shortly. And there she is. And she's connecting her audio. So let's unmute and then we can hear you as well as see you. So hello, Kay. Welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you for having me.
And happy release date for your book.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to be heading out because I have an appointment, but Rhonda is going to take really great care of you. And we're so excited about having you on the show, as we are all of the Black Odyssey Media authors. And we really are happy about being able to give these authors a push as their books are released, because we know how important it is to have strong sales in the early days of the book release.
Well, I definitely appreciate you guys having me.
Oh yes. Well, let's celebrate it. I mean, the name of the book. Tell us about the book. Tell us about your journey to becoming an author. Let's just jump right into it, because I was looking at your schedule, and it looks like you have jumped right into it. Oh, so what I was going to say though is that you jumped right into it. I see that you have a number of events already lined up, so you're getting out of the gates running, promoting this book.
I have in the past, I guess, 2 months. I've been blessed enough to be on WGN Chicago, ABC 7 Chicago, and Fox 32 Chicago, just to talk about Black romance and This Time Around.
Wow. Okay, so you really have started off with a bang, because I mean, I think everybody in the country knows about WGN.
Well, I mean, I've never had a traditionally released book, so and I wanted it to do well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people are telling us what to do, and they said to hire a publicist, and I hired a publicist, and she is amazing.
Wonderful. Now, I don't want anybody to think that you're new to this, because there's probably somebody out there who's working on their first book and they're saying, "Wow, she did all of that. I need to catch up." But now you are an author of over 40 books.
Yes, ma'am. I published my first book in June of 2018. And
Whoa,
I,
whoa, whoa, whoa,
I
whoa, whoa. 2018 and you've written 40 books? You've been
yes,
busy.
yes. I'm trying, but you know what? It's so funny because when you surround yourself with greatness, which I feel like I'm with BLP, which is B Love Publications,
Mhm.
and there are some amazing authors. So I always just feel a little bit. I mean, I receive all of the compliments and stuff, because I do feel like I've done a lot. Not to minimize what I've done, but the authors that are with BLP, they all work in the same way. So they all have been publishing, there's some with 40, 50, 60s, 70 books or whatever. And B Love herself has over 100 books. So I just feel like I'm just a part of, that's just what we do. so,
Wow. So it
so
sounds like you have a really good community of authors
yes,
that you support
yes,
each other.
yes, most definitely, most definitely. But yeah, I'm not one of those people who, um, like grew up wanting to be an author. There was a small, like when I was in middle school, maybe I've always been a reader. Like I was grounded a lot growing up. So I did a lot of reading because I couldn't, and I'm almost 50. So there was no cell phones and social media. So all I could do is listen to the radio and if that didn't get taken away and read. So I did a lot of reading. And there was a short period of my life when I thought I was going to write a book, but then it was around the same time. It was when I was in middle school, and it was around the same time that I got more involved in sports. And sports
Mhm.
kind of, took over, and I didn't have time to even think really about that. So and I got a track scholarship. So I was very much involved in sports, and I didn't even think about writing again until I was in my 40s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so writing was kind of that old friend that you returned to.
Mhm.
That first
Mhm.
love.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just really interesting because people would always say, "Oh, you should write a book because," and I don't know what made people think, people speak stuff into you, that you don't even realize, but they were like, "You should write a book." And I was always be like, "What would I write a book about?" Like I didn't have any like ideas. And a lot of people are inspired by me and my husband's love story because we're college sweethearts. And we're pushing on almost 27 years in August. We'll be married, and we've been together for 31, I think. So people always, are inspired by our love stories. They're like, "Oh, you should write your love story." But
Yes.
that again, we are almost 50. So there was no social media when we started dating. It was 1993. So no social media, no cell phones. So when I said, I'm like, I don't know what people think happened, because there's really not a lot to say or a lot to tell. But then I was like, okay, so when my schedule freed up, I have both of my children kept us very busy. My daughter was an athlete. She played club volleyball. She ran track. And then my son, he's been DJing since he was 9. So he couldn't drive. so they're now 24 and almost 21. But when he started DJ, he couldn't drive. And then she was in her sports. Neither of them had licenses. So we pretty much spent all of our time driving them around to wherever they needed to be. But when she went away to college, it freed up my schedule because I didn't have to pick her up and be wherever she was. So I had a little bit of free time. I started teaching part-time the same year that she went to college. And I was just like, and I just kind of started writing our love story, and I changed the names, but I did make us both. I ran track. My husband played football, and we went to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois. So we just kind of like, I just put all of the places and stuff, but I changed our
Yes.
name. I added some drama. I brought it up to date and put some social media and cell phones and stuff in there. And that was kind of a loosely
Yeah.
based
That's
story.
kind of what I'm going to be doing with my first book. My first book was Cheating in the Next Room.
Mhm.
And when I first wrote that book, same as you, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have we had internet, but we had dial up, that preachy sound.
Yep.
AOL, you got
Yep.
mail.
Yep.
That's what was going on at that time. So I'm working on updating that story because this is the 20th year
Oh, wow.
book. And so I'm going to update the story, kind of reimagine it a little bit, and then put it back out there.
Yes.
Sit my behind down long enough to do it.
Yeah, so I did that, and that was actually the first book I started writing. But I didn't publish it first. I actually ended up publishing a collection of short stories, which was just some stories I was writing just to see if people even liked what I was writing. And I figured out a pen name, which is, Shanee, and I started putting them on a blog, and I would just post the link on my Facebook page just to see if people would like read it and comment, whatever. And I ended up taking some of those stories and putting them in a short story. So that was actually the first one that I published, was the short stories, just to kind of get my feet wet and see if people liked it and knew what I was doing. So, and now here I am, almost 6 years later, with my first traditionally published book.
Wow. So that's quite a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't even know where to start with that, because my next question was, before you said all of that, my next question was, what was it that kind of reignited your love for writing? But as I'm listening to that journey, I can kind of see it was just a process of things.
It really was. And I still sometimes don't feel like an author completely. I don't, I'm one of those people who, I don't mind giving advice, but I don't necessarily always feel like I'm doing it right. Like even with marriage, like people think they're married for so long and I don't give marital advice. Like, I'm like, that's not like what we do, and what works for us doesn't necessarily work for everybody. So I don't like to give out, marriage advice. And the same with like, people's writing process. Like people probably would think I'm crazy if, like I don't even like really have like a real, tried and true process or whatever. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm equipped to tell you that process, but they're like, you wrote this many books. And I'm like, yeah, but everyone is kind of different in their process. If you ask 30 authors what they do, all 30 of those answers are going to probably be different. So I don't, I kind of shy away from that.
So what is your process? Are you that writer who writes late at night? Do you write early in the morning? Do you have to think about the story for a while before you start writing?
I do, you know what? I do have to think about it a little bit. I kind of have to like let it play out in my head. And the reason for that is because I don't write an outline.
Yes.
I try to write outlines. I've tried a few times and I end up writing a totally different book than whatever I've outlined. For the next book that I'm writing, I'm going to try that one, outline it again, because I just feel like the people who outline, their process is so much smoother and they can write so much faster. But I do kind of play it out. I use the notes in my phone a lot. So whenever something comes to my mind, I'll write down, I put the basics, like I'll put like how old the person is, if it's going to be like a thick woman, a fair skinned woman, a dark skinned woman, if they're going to have natural hair, long hair, what their names are going to be. And maybe like if they have, siblings, I put the siblings' names, if their parents are still, alive. So I kind of put those kind of details or whatever in my phone, but it's not like I can't like give someone like, okay, this is what I do. Because they would be like, what is this? But I do, I teach, I'm a teacher. So I just kind of write when the time is free. So mostly it's at night once we've eaten dinner and stuff like that, before bedtime, I just try to get in a few hours a day. My prep periods at work, I try to make sure I write then too.
Okay, so let's jump over to your latest book. Release date is today.
Yes, this time around.
Yeah, so do you have the book with you?
You know what? Why don't I have any books with me? Let me text my husband. They're all downstairs. Let me text him and tell him to bring one up.
Okay. Well, and so while we are waiting for the book to come up, tell us all about the book. Or tell us about the story
of the book. He should be watching, but I just see that he just said, is it on Instagram? So I don't think he was able to find it. The book is say it's kind of a second chance romance, but it's the first romance didn't really happen because it was a one night stand.
Mhm.
So it is two couples that kind of reunite, but they were never really a couple.
Mm.
Thank you. But this is the book.
Oh, nice cover.
And but yeah, so it's their Tessa is 39 and Cypress is 40, and they are both have their doctorates. They're both professors, coincidentally in the same subjects. And
Mhm.
Tessa's kind of going through like a midlife crisis where she's not happy with her job, she's not happy with the person she's dating. So she just kind of wakes up in the middle of the night and be like, I'm done with this job and this man.
Wow.
And she ends it all. And then he's on the other side of town, other side of the United States, kind of going through the same thing. He's breaking off an engagement. He more recently got his doctorate, so he was teaching at a junior college and he wanted to go to the university level. So he had been job hunting. She just so happened to quit her job. He just so happens to be looking for a job. And that's how they end up in the same space or in the same
Mhm.
town, because he ended up getting the job that she had just resigned from.
Oh,
Yes, and then she has a daughter who is in his class. And throughout the book, it's like before Tessa and Cypress meet, the daughter looks at him as if he's very familiar to her. Like
uh-oh.
he just keeps looking like, watch, I feel like I know him from somewhere. And he keeps looking at her in the same way. But she's just kind of like, oh, he's a nice guy. I'm gonna see if he's married. And if not, I'm gonna see if he'll go on a date with my mom. So she ends up hooking them up on a blind date. And then that's where they see each other again for the first time in 20 years.
Oh, I like this. Would you consider this a romantic comedy?
You know what? I feel like all my books have an element of everything. Like there's times when you're gonna laugh, there's times when you're gonna cry. And hopefully at the end, because all my books end in a happily ever after. So
Mhm.
at the end, you're kind of like satisfied. I try to tie up any loose ends that there might be, so there's no questions about what happened to this person or that person. But there's lots of funny moments in the movie, but I don't think it's really. I wouldn't say it's like a romantic comedy though.
Okay. But there might be a couple of funny moments in it,
Yeah,
but
there are some funny situations that happen.
okay, well that makes sense. I mean,
Mhm.
and I think that's real life. There are going to
Yeah,
be
right.
funny moments.
Yep, real life. Yep. And then there's a lot of like I feel like self-discovery because as I said, Tessa is going through kind of like a midlife thing. She was raised by a single mother and she never knew her father. So she's kind of on a quest to find out, who she is and who her father is. Her mother didn't give her a lot of information about it, so she kind of had to do it on her own. So she's
Right.
on kind of like a self-discovery as well to find about her background and her ancestry. So I think that's kind of a cool when you can find out things about yourself that you haven't known for the past 40 years.
Well, I love the fact that you write about romance and Black love. Partially because I think that social media has gotten us to a point where love is just a game and love is just an afterthought. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
don't worry about love. Go for the bag. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Right.
you know, I'm not ready to get married until I'm 40. So young
Yep.
love is starting to
Yep.
go away because no matter how old you are, if you're in your 20s, they think you're too young.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
now it's just all about the finances, all about the games, and you're not sure who you can trust. And I
Mm-hmm.
think but that's not always the case. It's just what's popular in social media. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to tell these stories about real love,
Mm-hmm.
about that Black love does still exist.
Yeah, and that's what I've been like on the different news stations that I was on. That's really what I've been trying to talk about too, is because I don't think that just even today, I don't watch a lot of TV because I'm always writing. So in my
Right.
free time I'm always writing. But I was downstairs, my grandmother lived with us, so I was downstairs and she was cooking something and she had her soap operas on. And a commercial came on and I noticed in the commercial that the father was Black, the mother was white, and the kids were beige.
Yeah.
I don't see, like, I was like, and I said to my grandma, so you never see like a Black family. Like it's always like an interracial or racially ambiguous family, which is fine. Like you love who you love, but it just bothers me so much that in the media, whether good or bad, you never see that strong Black love foundation. Like they don't show it. And a lot of times I feel like our young people, when they see this, they kind of lose faith in it before they are even experiencing it.
Right.
Because they haven't seen it, on TV and in the media in the way that it's portrayed. So, and I'm very like, as a teacher, I teach high school, but this year I'm teaching sixth grade. But regardless, whether it's sixth grade or high school, I'm very transparent with my students as far as like, I share a lot of personal things, as far as like how long I've been married, where I met my husband, I share about my kids' journeys or whatever. I have one child who, got a athletic scholarship. I have one child who had absolutely no interest in going to college. So just like you have these, different things, but I always make sure that I share and I show them like a picture of my family, that my 86-year-old grandmother lives with me. Because even that family love with Black people, they don't even portray that in like a positive light. It's like, we don't love each other in romantic relationships. We don't love each other in friendships. We don't love each other in, family relationships. It's like they act like we don't know how to love. So I'm always very intentional about sharing, my family background, because I do want, young people to know, like Black people, we love each other and we love hard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I know you're going to be at a number of different places over the next few months. You're going to be at the 16th annual Great Midwest Book Festival,
Yeah.
the Boozy Book Tour, which is something I might need to join you on because right there. And then you have Lights, Camera, Action, Love and Books, the Chicago Urban Book Expo, Southern Hearts and Signed Kisses. So that's a lot. Are you going to be on any panels at these locations,
You
or
know
are you
what?
any?
I'm not gonna be. I know the Boozy Book Tour is much more small and intimate setting, so I'll get to interact more with readers in that aspect. But with the others, I don't think I'm gonna be on. I don't recall anyone asking me to be on any panels. This is really like my first time going to a book event that's like that I have to like fly to. Like I've done the Chicago Urban Book Expo a couple of times and some local things, but this year I was like, you know what? I'm out there. I'm out. I'm trying to retire and write full time. And I was like, and the only way I'm going to get out there is if the readers know who I am and that I exist. So I'm like, I got to put myself out there. So any event that I was invited to, if I could fit it in my schedule, I was like, I'll be there.
Right. Okay, it makes a lot of sense. So now what's the first festival on your schedule?
The next one, this past weekend, I did the I Am She Expo with a woman it was in Naperville, Illinois, a woman by the name of Joyce Dawkins. She actually put that on, and it was really good, a nice vendor event. I did really well. Like, again, I'm just trying to get exposure locally, because a lot of the local people, like my readers are from a lot of different places, but a lot of the people locally don't know me. So I definitely got myself out there. So people like in the Chicagoland area are like, oh, like, wait a minute, you wrote all these books. That we heard that so many times when they came to my table, like, wait, you're Shanee? Like, wait, these are all you? I think they thought I was a store at first, and I was just selling the books or whatever. So I got to meet a lot of amazing people this weekend. And then the next one, I believe, I feel like it must be the one in June. The Midwest book tour, I think, is the next bigger event that I'll be doing.
Okay, but isn't it funny how more people know you nationally than locally? I think
Yeah,
that
it is.
so many times,
Yeah.
I guess we're so busy on social media, we're so busy
Mhm.
promoting that we don't always do the local stuff. So
Mhm.
I think it's good. You're probably gonna
Mhm.
find a whole new audience
Yeah,
local.
I've done like 3 events just in my like the city that I work in. I've done 2 events, which is I live in Kenosha, Wisconsin, but I work in Zion, Illinois, but it's only 20 minutes from each other.
Mm.
I grew up in Illinois. I mean, right over the border of Kenosha, in Illinois, so it's not that far. So even just in the past like month or whatever, I've done these very local events, and even then, people were like, "Wait a minute, like you wrote these, you wrote all these or whatever." So yeah, and they're like, "You're from here," and I'm like, "Yeah." So yeah, so it's definitely very interesting how you have this broad support system, but then the narrow one is not, not as strong.
So Tony Bonita wants to know if you were on the Shara's page yesterday.
The share.
The Shara.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I was in her group, like posting some stuff. Yes, I was.
Mm. And if anybody knows, Tony Bonita knows.
Yeah, I posted a few things in there today too. Lashira said she offered her group to me so I can get to know some more people. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I like when people do that.
Yeah, it was very nice.
It's part of going back to being a part of that community where you kind of support each other and look out for each other.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I did put your website in the chat, www.authorkshanee.com.
Yep.
Okay, and do you have your appearances listed on your website as well?
I do. I've been trying. I maintain my own website, so I try to lately because I've had so many different things going on. But I do have I think I have all the locations that I'll be going, and then like the media appearances. I have those videos from like the news stations posted on there. Then of course, my books or whatever. And I also have children's books that I write under my government name.
Right.
So those are on there as well.
Your government name.
The government name.
But it makes a lot of sense if you're going to be writing these romance books.
Yes. Because I'm a teacher, so these kids, the kids, and I do try to, at the high school level, I teach like entrepreneurship, marketing, consumer management, but with the entrepreneurship and marketing, it's hard not to share with them what I do because I have so many different examples of just in my real life of like, okay, like if you do this. So I share with my students that I'm an author, but I never share my pen name. Now the children's books, especially at the 6th grade level, I've actually read some of my books to the kids. But again, they just know it's Katrina Anderson. So it's just Miss Anderson. So they don't, I'm now granted, I think a few of them did catch the news episode, but they don't pay, their memory is so short. They don't even know what my pen name is. But yeah, I don't share my pen name, but they do, they are always aware that I'm an author. Just because I feel like it's a good accomplishment. And also, when you teach entrepreneurship and you want to support kids, I have had students who were interested in writing a book. So, so it's good to share that just in case you have someone that's interested in something like that.
Okay. Oh, by the way, Tony said that she introduced herself to you. Yes, she introduced herself to you. When she
Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure you remember. Yep. So now, what are some other ways that people might be able to reach out to you if they want more information about your books or even if they just want to connect?
Yes. Okay. So my at the end of all of my books, I put like my reading groups in all my social media and stuff. But I'm author Shanee on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X or Twitter, whatever they're calling it these days. On all the social media platforms, it's all author Shanee. And people inbox me, I reply, all that fun stuff, all that fun stuff.
Okay, I love it. I love an author who replies.
Yeah, that's why I stopped writing series because I was like, we not about to. There's too much anxiety because when I tell you, as soon as they read the last page, they'd be like, "When the next book coming out? When is part coming out?" I was like, I can't handle this pressure, so I don't even know when the last time I wrote a series.
Too funny. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the interview. But if you hold your book up one more time, there we go. This time around, today is release day, so please click on the link. Let's order this book. Let's support this book because the first few days of a book's lifespan are really, really important.
Yes. And thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate you having me on.
And I appreciate you being here. Best wishes to you. And I'm going to be on the lookout as much as I can support from afar because unfortunately I'm not in Chicago.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
But I will be ordering the book. So thanks for coming on the show and keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great one.
You too.
Bye-bye. Okay, y'all, that was author Shanee. Now we are going to be bringing on author India Williams. And she'll be on in just a second. There she is. Audio is connecting. There she is. Hello.
How are you?
Wonderful. How are you tonight?
I am doing well. I can't complain.
Okay, and if, if we did complain anyway, I'm gonna listen anyway. See how it goes?
No, it wouldn't do any good. That's what I always say. It won't do no good anyway.
So just so you know, Gwen had to run off. She had an appointment. She had a rehearsal that she had to attend. So I'm her co-host, Dr. Rhonda, and I'll be interviewing you tonight.
Okay, Dr. Rhonda. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you as well. So now let's jump right into it. So your book is called Dishonorable, and today is your release day as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Do you have the book with you so we can see it?
I do. I don't know. Can you see from my end? My camera looks a little grainy, but is it clear on your end?
I can see the book is shiny, so I can see our reflection in your book.
Okay. Is that a little bit better?
That's good.
Okay. Yes,
So tell us
ma'am.
about Dishonorable.
So Dishonorable is an urban fiction story, like crime fiction, women's fiction. It's all of the above. But it's about a group of young ladies, they're friends who, I mean, they come from, the city, but they kind of live a sheltered lifestyle. One of the young lady, she loses her brother, who is her everything. He helps the family in, ways that you can imagine by street dealings and things like that. But he's a tremendous help to the community, and his life was tragically taken. And so these young ladies kind of set out on a mission to avenge his death, if you will. But of course, with them not really having a street background, they kind of run into people that's gonna, test them in the streets, and they're a little bit faster than the young lady. So it's a roller coaster ride of like, drama and a little love in there, little crime, because you have like, deaths and the police.
Right.
And so anyway, um, somebody out of the circle is dishonorable. And so that it's just the whole tale. It's just you really can't trust anybody. Loyalty is not something that everybody possesses.
Oh, sounds like a lot going on in this story, and it looked like a pretty thick book. Can I see that book again?
Oh yes, ma'am. I write the pages now. I do the pages. Okay.
It's interesting when I see new books that are thick because a lot of authors have gone to shorter books. But I see you decided to go with a longer story. Was that an intentional decision?
Yeah, it's intentional. I would say, like, for the most part, my content kind of keeps up with like industry standard, which I think is like 75K is like the minimum for those kind of stories. So most of my stories are pretty much really close, about 60, 65 on the lighter end, and maybe even into the hundreds on like the bigger end. So I have a book here. This one is The Real Wives of Detroit, and you see how thick that is, even in comparison
That's a
with,
textbook, girl.
yeah, so I, try to get at people what they want, and sometimes, you just can't shorten the content. So
So, how many books do you have?
I have about 20 or so, and I say 20 or so because after a while you lose count. But then some of the books that were smaller were condensed into bigger books. So now instead of them being counted as, two or three, they're now just like one book. So my count is off.
Okay, so you took some of the stories and just maybe combined them into one book?
Yeah. So like for example, I have a very popular series called the one I just showed you, The Real Wives of Detroit. That was originally 4 parts, but because they were kind of under that 75K, when we rebranded them and republished them, we just merged the original part 1 and 2 to make a new part 1, and then the original part 3 and 4 to make a new part 2. And it can sometimes get confusing to the readers. But all the new readers seem to love it. The old readers are like, "Where's the next book?" And they don't realize they've actually come to the end of the series.
And now they mad because they want to
Yeah,
keep.
now they mad. They need me to write some more.
So where do you find the ideas for your stories?
Just all over. I'm a girl from Detroit, so content is forever in my face. I don't live there now, but just growing up, I have friends that lived in the projects. Motown is there, like everything is there. So my imagination has always been pretty big.
Okay, so now where do you live now?
I'm in Cincinnati.
Ah, Cincinnati.
So I'm not too far, but
I'm about to say not too far, but are they like a world apart? Is it like totally different there?
yes, but in a good way. I think that I appreciate it because it's kind of like the quiet, I'm kind of out the way, and that's how I like it. And then when, I want to go home, I'm not too far away, so I'm in the perfect place.
There you go. I love that. Love that. So now the book is released today. What
Mhm.
are your plans for this book?
So hopefully, I mean, to the moon, like, but we did this one kind of backwards. So normally I would say, hopefully I get to see these characters on the big screen and we can make a movie. But this is actually a movie already. So we did it in reverse. Dishonorable, the movie came out in, I think it was February. It just came out. It wasn't too long ago. Maybe we're up on a month. And so on the heels of that, it comes the novel. So we kind of did it in reverse. So I've already seen the characters come to light. And I know you couldn't really probably tell by the cover, but the cover of this book is the exact cover. I'll try to show it to you guys again without the gloss, but
Oh,
is the exact movie poster as
yeah.
well on Tubi. And then this gentleman here is a well-known actor by the name of Jason Mitchell. So he graced us in the movie, and then he also graced us on the book cover as well.
So what do you think was the biggest difference? And there are a lot of differences, but what did you see as the biggest difference between writing the script for the movie and then actually writing the manuscript for the book?
So at the time when the script was written, I wasn't writing scripts. So I had some help, with Brianna Cole and Untamed, my girls. And so I'll say from the film to the manuscript, I have more words in the manuscript. You can paint a more vivid picture. When you're doing scripts, every minute of conversation matters. So every page is a minute. You can only probably get about 80 pages safely to make an hour and a half movie because there are going to be times where you might ad lib or some extra things might happen that's going to eat up more minutes. That's going to probably take you to that hour and a half. So you have to be very conscientious of your word count. Whereas in a novel, you have free reign. If I wanted to put 200,000 words in a novel, I could. So that just lends, itself to painting a better story, I think. And what I mean by better is just more content. You can explain things in great detail. You can
Mhm.
give more backstory to your characters. You can
Right.
add, alternate endings if that's what you chose to do. So I would say definitely the difference is that I had more space to create more content in the manuscript.
Yeah. And so, Lydia wants to know where we can see the movie. And I know I believe you mentioned it was on Tubi, correct?
Yes, it's streaming on Tubi right now.
Okay. I think I have Tubi. I have to admit that I have not watched a lot of Tubi. I know I can get it on my phone, but you can also get it like on Roku, can't you?
Yeah, Roku, any streaming app, like it's a free app that you just if you don't have it already, like on a smart TV that already has it, I think you can download it. And it's right at your fingertips. Like you said, cell phone, laptops, whatever you use to watch anything, you can definitely stream Tubi.
See, and now let's talk about the movie. I know you said you had help with writing the script.
Yes.
So did you produce the movie yourself or did you find a producer as well?
I did not. So, quick backstory, my agent Entice, she was my book agent at the time. And so she just kept telling me she wanted to turn that story, which featured in an anthology that she put out years ago. She kept telling me she wanted to make it a film. And so years went by, and she came back and she turned it into a film. So all of that I have to credit to her and the Boss Magnet Media team. They put that production together, but then they did, just allow me to be hands-on with all of the process. So I was able to be co-producer, and I appreciated, that education, that knowledge that I gained from them.
Yeah, I remember talking to a producer about we were talking about, because I'm in the process of turning one of my books into a movie. I'm in the very beginning part of the process right now. And he asked me a great question, and it's a question that I want every author who is ever thinking of turning their book into a movie. I want you to think about this. Because sometimes I think people think about having their books optioned, and or being able to say that they sold the script. And if you sell the script, you walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Sold the script. Now, if they don't do anything with the movie, for years, it's their script.
Mm-hmm.
Or if the movie makes $1 million or $3
It's
million,
their money. Mm-hmm.
it's their money, and you're just walking away with the 10,000 or 20,000 that you settled for,
Mm-hmm.
sold your script for. So he asked me, what do you want to do? Do you want to sell the script and just walk away, or do you want to be a producer? Or do you want to sell the script and then have some production rights, so to speak? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that every author needs to think about, because every author is wanting to turn their book into a movie, but
Mm-hmm.
you got to look at what you're giving away if you just sell your script.
And you also have to, exactly what you're giving away, but you also want to see like what it means to you. And I try to tell people that all the time because I talk to people. I have a lot of clients that I help, through process, either by ghostwriting or just kind of coaching them along the way. Um, and I just try to tell everybody you have to determine what it means to you. So if it's a story, and I'm talking about me, so just say if it's a story that didn't take me very long to create. I mean, it was really no hassle. And I'm just making something up. I wrote something really quick. Everybody loved it. And the number that I was offered to sell it is okay with me because I'm not married to the script. I'm not attached to it. And
Right.
it would do more for my career in the other things that I'm trying to do. If they can fast track that movie, because my name is going to be on it in some form or fashion,
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. And then I can take, ride the high horse into whatever I'm trying to do next. But if I've labored for, something, if I've cried over these characters, if these characters really truly mean something to me in a sense that, I really gave birth to this project and it just means more than a monetary, number, then
Exactly.
that's not something that I'm going to give away, even if I'm not making anything off of it, even if it takes me 10 years to
Right.
see it, on film, then I'm gonna hold on to that one. So it's about, like you said, well, what are you giving away? But it also is about what does it mean to you? Because every piece is not sentimental. Every piece is not a piece that you can't part with, and sometimes it's easy to just write new content. Sometimes when you're already a writer, people that want to produce films, they may not know how to write. So they'll need your
Right.
services. And so you're just writing whatever they want you to write. And now you've got money, your name is attached to it, and you can still use that for when you're, trying to build your resume for your future project. So it's just all about what it means to you in that moment.
I think that's something, like I said, that every author who's watching needs to hear and understand. I mean, there's so much more than just making a couple of $1,000s.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like every opportunity, and that is just more than scripts. I just mean every opportunity. I know when I started, which was in 2010, like anthologies were really big. And Sometimes they paid a little bit. Sometimes, they paid a little bit more than a little bit. Still wasn't a lot, but and a lot of authors kind of like walked away or maybe turned their nose up, like I'm writing for $500, one time thing, or I don't want somebody paying me royalties for my story, whatever the thing was. And me at that time, I'm like, I want the writing exercise. This is only 12,000 words. Like 12,000 words might sound like a lot, but when you're a writer, that's nothing. Like 12,000 words is, just a couple of pages. So I'm like, oh, but this anthology is connected to that person, or writing for this magazine is connected to that person. Maybe this will go somewhere, maybe it won't. And so I would like to thank God because every opportunity that I took, whether it was like a money move or not, has served me well in, what I'm trying to do today.
You better speak, girl. So, now that this book is done, I'm not rushing you, but have you already started working on the next one?
So not a book per se, but I have jumped into the script game. So like I said, that lesson was very valuable. They taught me, and it's something addictive about being on set and seeing the characters read your words and just all of that. And so now I've been like just trying to perfect like my script writing, and I do have another film coming up that I'll be working on, like with my family. And so I'm very happy about that. So no book yet. I'm not saying it might not be one by the end of the year, but right now, man, these scripts have me in a chokehold.
Well, I can see now that you are not letting any grass grow under your feet.
Oh, no, ma'am. I'm not one of those people. I'm always on to the next thing.
I am not mad at that at all. That is awesome. So now this next movie or this next script that you are working on, are you ready to talk a little bit about it, or is it still kind of
I was gonna say not yet. I won't be ready to talk about it for maybe another month or so. I'm just trying to like finalize everything, but I'm very excited about it. Part of my goal and my vision for myself has always been to just use my talents to work with my family, my friends, people that I care about, that care about me. They always support me, but I want to encompass them in my journey, a little bit more with putting them in the forefront. And so, yeah, I'm excited about this.
I can see that because you mentioned earlier that a project that you were working on was basically a family project
Mm-hmm.
that
Yep.
you were working on it with your family. So I can tell that family is very important to you. And I like the fact that you all have come together to create something together.
Yes. It's very exciting. My family is very supportive anyway. Like I said, I've been writing books since 2010, and almost all of them have been at my book events, and they come to the book fairs. They're having church members buy the books, and they are amazing.
Nothing like having family. I know
Yes.
that I don't know if Ivy, who's on here, is a friend of yours, but I'll tell you, Ivy Ivy Ware is all over this chat.
Is she? Yeah, that's my friend, but that's my sister. I call her my big sister. She just released a book too, so shout out to her.
Congratulations, baby.
Only Heaven Knows My Heart is her book. Shameless plug for her. But I'm just so proud. I love to see the people around me win, and she's one of them that's winning. She's on the winning team right now.
Well, that's really good because there are lots of stories out there of friends who helped each other to grow. Um, I think it was I can't remember her last name, but she was a rapper named Tokyo. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she talked about how she and her friends all helped each other to get to a certain level. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to support you and you get to this level. Now we're going to support you. Now that we're at this level, we're going to support you and we're going to get you there. And I think that's what real friendships should be. It's not about competing with each other. It's about collaborating and cooperating with each other and supporting each other.
Absolutely. I always say all the time, no competition, only collaboration. because you get further together. Another tidbit that I would add, if you have any, new or upcoming authors that are watching, networking. Networking is big. I think that sometimes we are made to believe that money is limited, or we can't have the same readers. It's not, it don't be like that, because you get so much further together. You find other authors in your city, you network with them, you find other authors that are on the internet, and then you guys can put together things in each other's state. And so that way you can go to their state and meet new readers, they can come to your state and meet new readers, and you have just a solid network. And that is something that I've been very blessed with as well. I've come across a lot of wonderful authors, period, but women most definitely. Just in this writing industry, where it could be cutthroat, it could be competition, but everybody that truly that I love or that love me, like, I just feel like we clap for each other, like we celebrate loud, and we don't, we might not even know your real name. I might only know your pseudonym, but I'm like, yes, this, that kind of stuff. So that's really big. And I think that your network is your net worth. And if the
Absolutely.
people around you are winning, then you are going to win too.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time that um, no real true reader is only going to read one book.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to fight over readers. You don't have
Yep.
to fight over sales. If they don't buy your book today, give them a bookmark or a flyer, or just give them your Instagram. They will buy your book the next time they want a book, because they're going to remember you.
And I was gonna say too, it's funny that you say that. Again, another tidbit to the younger, or not even younger, the new authors or upcoming, like anybody who probably hasn't made it off social media. And what I mean by that is like book events and things like that. Sometimes people are intimidated by those events, or when they get to those events, they see a whole lot of readers at one table, and the readers pass your table, and so they're a little like let down by that. But I never sit down at book events. I'm always standing up so that I'm approachable. Sometimes I'm in front of the table.
Like this, man.
Yes, and then wonder why people like walk by, and I get it, because sometimes people are just nervous, but it's like, no, they can't. These are readers. Like, they came to find you. You're not looking for them. I mean, on social media, we're trying to like call, hey, I got this, I got that. Hey, look at me. No, in a book event, these people are readers. They came to read. So, get out, talk to people. They might look at your cover. They might ask you questions. Don't be intimidated by that. Take that time to like promote your book. And
Yes.
then as you talk to people, they might not even. I've had so many people tell me, oh, I don't even read street lit or crime fiction, but you know what, I'm gonna buy two of these, only because like my personality, when I always say like, talk to me, I talk back, right? Like, yes, you talk to people, and I mean, your personality sometimes can be the difference with that sale. Somebody that might have not come looking for your book, but your smile or your warm embrace, or your ability, you just answering questions and talking to them, making it personable, they'll want to buy everything that you have just to support you.
Absolutely. No lies told, no lies detected. So, do you have any appearances coming up anytime soon?
I do. I just got information for one today, but I do apologize. It's like another one of these, but I can't even remember where it's at yet. So I am sorry, because it just came up this morning. But other than that, this summer, I'll probably make a couple appearances. There was some book fairs. They have a lot of things going on in the Midwest. I may not always have a table somewhere, but if I can go in and just show my face and support fellow authors, I'm glad to do that too. But if people want to follow me, I'm on Facebook, India Johnson Williams. I am on Instagram, not as much, but I am there, and it's Ink Diva India. If people want to email me, because I do respond to my emails, it would be gradeapub@gmail.com. Like I
Okay.
say, talk to me, y'all. I talk back.
Now, do you have a website?
I do not. I had one previously, and then I took
Uh,
everything down because I went to school. I went back and got my bachelor's and then my master's degree. So I took a little break from school. For school.
Mhm.
And so now that I'm getting back busy with content, I think I will create another website. So coming soon.
Create that website, but I do want to congratulate you on your degrees. You have a master's in social work, right?
Yes, yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, congratulations. That I'm sure that's going to give you more content.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the goal of mine. When I do return to books, I just want to put more, just mental health things in there
Mhm.
into the stories and weave them into like our urban stories only because I know it's such a stigma with, some of our population, not all of us, but some of us still have a stigma against mental health and going and seeking help. And, I just want to make somebody's favorite, coolest character, maybe be bipolar and maybe he needs a therapist and, make it cool. And hopefully I start a wave and, just letting us know that it's okay to not be okay sometimes.
There you go. And that's a word right there. It's okay to not be okay. I think once again I'm talking about social media, but social media has us thinking that we always have to be on our A game every time. We have to be on it. We have to be winning. And sometimes it's just okay to sit back and say, I don't feel it today.
Yep, absolutely. 100%.
Well, we are coming to the end of the interview, unfortunately, but I do want you to hold your book up one more time, remind us where we can find it.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this, guys, again, is Dishonorable by India, and it is nationwide. It is on Amazon. You can walk in a Walmart. It's on the shelves. And if you want signed copies, you can also reach out to me on Facebook. India Johnson Williams is my Facebook name.
Yeah, I should put that in the chat so people can find you. Actually, do me a favor, put it in our chat, and then I'm gonna put it on the Facebook chat.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because I want everybody to be able to find you and reach out and find these books. Now,
Okay.
oh, there it is. Now remember, y'all, this is publication day. So this is the best reason to okay, this is the best reason to go out and get this book right now. So it's India Johnson Williams. Look for her on Facebook. Oops, I'm about to give you somebody else's name. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, look for India Johnson Williams on Facebook. She said she's also on Instagram, but not as much. So don't
Right.
be looking for her on Instagram. But the best place to look for is go to Amazon and look for the book Dishonorable. And
Mhm.
you can find her book there. This is publication day. Let's help make this a bestseller in its first week. That's what we do, right?
Yeah. Thank you guys in advance.
We're gonna speak it into existence.
Amen. Yes.
Okay, well, once again, congratulations. I'll be looking for the book, and I look forward to continuing to support you. And if there's anything that Black Authors Matter TV can do, you just let us know.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you, Dr. Lawson. I hope that we can have a conversation again soon. Um,
Absolutely.
but again, I hope you have a good evening. Thank you again for having this platform for people like me. I'm so grateful, and I hope you have a good night.
And you do the same. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right, y'all. That was Miss India Williams. But India on the book cover, she goes just by India. The name of her book was Dishonorable. And this is exciting. We actually had two authors whose publication day was today. That is amazing. We've got to make sure that we're supporting these authors. So now I'm going to be bringing in our next guest, Mattie Leonard. And we'll just wait for her to come in. She'll be in shortly. Okay. Audio is connecting. There she is. All right. Wait, go ahead and unmute.
How are you? It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for being on the show. Welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, first of all, it's a beautiful background you have there.
Yes, I have my two books, Building Me Back Brick by Silent Cry, there,
Yes.
and Building Me Back Brick by Brick.
Nice. Okay, so well, tell me about both of those books.
Okay, well, Building Me Back Brick by Brick, which is this one,
Mm-hmm.
is about my struggle with addiction and how I got to a point of recovery. You know, I was in the military, and my last year I injured my back and got on opioids. So I ended up retiring. And from there, it went to more street drugs as they had the whole opiate epidemic and they stopped giving it to you. So I went to look into street drugs to one, I was depressed and angry because I had to get out, even though I retired, and I couldn't walk at the time. So I was having a hard time dealing with that because my coping mechanism was always work. And then to not be able to work. And back then, you didn't go to counseling. So I didn't know about counseling or anything like that. And that's what I needed, but I didn't have that type of support at the time. And so I got onto more street drugs. I ended up in jail 4 times, got 2 DWIs, a felony possession charge. And I talk about it all in my book. And the last time I was in jail, I thought about writing. And actually, there was this inmate in there that would write short stories, and we would pass it around to each other. And I saw how easy it was for her to write and come up with characters and stuff. And so I started writing about my situation and what I was going through. And that's how the book Building Me Back Brick by Brick came about. So I talk about my journey through addiction, and then I talk about how I got to the point of recovery in that book.
Wow. I've got to say, first of all, as a veteran myself, thank you for your service. And I do understand how something like that happens. We leave the Army. I was in the Army. I'm not sure which service Army as well. Okay, so we leave the Army with bad knees and a bad back and a bad this and a bad that. I still have back problems from the Army. And sometimes if we don't have the proper care, sometimes those things can happen. And so I thank God that you were able to find your way from that addiction.
Yes. It was a trying time, but and it took some years. And I finally got to a point where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I wanted to make a change for my life. Yes.
Amen.
So I have the second book that I wrote called Silent Cry. And it talks about, now I've been married 3 times before the age of 30, married and divorced.
Wow.
And 2 of my marriages were, there was domestic violence involved where I had to go to a shelter to live. And I dealt with sexual coercion in my teens. I dealt with a stalker. This was after the marriage. And so I talk about all the incidents that I went through that fall under the umbrella as domestic violence. So this is not one incident. It's like several incidents in one book to let you know that although you may go through different trials in your life, that, our past don't define us, and that we can get to a point of healing. We can forgive and we can move on. And that's what I hope, this book will present itself to people.
So it sounds like you did a lot of introspection to write your books.
Yes, writing the books, having to relive the situations over again gave me a lot of perspective. It let me see the repetitive patterns that I had in my life. The people that I was attracted to, the same type of people. It allowed me to see the red flags that I ignored and started to apply them to my life so that I wouldn't go back down that same road. Today I'm single, and I have peace. I'm content with myself today. You know, before I was always looking to be with somebody, always having to be in a relationship. And that caused me to pick the wrong people, the people that I thought were showing me excessive attention, the people that were jealous if I was somewhere else or always wanted to know where I was at. At that time, I looked at it as, oh, they really like me. They really care for me. You know, oh, this and that. And that wasn't the case. You know, it was a possessive type relationships that I was looking for at that time. And now I know to be weary of those relationships, that jealousy, that anger, that um over attention that someone may give you. It's not all good. And I had to learn the hard way. And in writing this book, Silent Cry, it lets me show people that, you know, what they need to look for and how you can easily find yourself in these predicaments if you don't heal yourself, if you don't find wholeness within yourself.
You know, what's interesting is that I'm glad that you're sharing this story, because first of all, we're coming up on April, and April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So this is a really timely story that you're telling as we move into that month. But one thing that's resonating with me as you're telling your story is that we sometimes picture soldiers as being these really strong people. You know, we have it all together. I saw your bio, and you were in charge. You were a non-commissioned officer, a leader. You were in charge of the Situation Room. And so, you know, people were depending on you. People looked up to you. And then being a non-commissioned officer myself, I know what it's like when everybody is leaning on you and everybody is looking to you, but you don't always have somebody else to lean on. So really what winds up happening is that a lot of times senior non-commissioned officers and the senior leaders were the ones who had the substance abuse problems, or they had the highest suicide rates, because they didn't always have somebody whom they could turn to.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You know, and when I got out is when I started seeking help, you know, and, you know, I was diagnosed with all these things by borderline personality disorder, major depression disorder, you know, all these disorders that had to be dealt with, you know, and going to counseling, relying on your God, your higher power, you know, just uh just healing from those resentments, those feelings of abandonment, the feelings of rejection. We have to heal from that, because if not, we take it from one relationship to the next. And we have to come to that realization that we choose who we want in our lives. You know, we make that choice. We can say no, or we can say yes. It's up to us. And we have to set boundaries for our life. That was one thing. I was a people pleaser. I wanted people to like me. I wanted people to always see the good in me. And
Yeah.
I had a mask on. Most of my life I wore a mask. And I had to learn how to take off that mask and be me, and allow people to accept who I was,
Yes.
who I had became, and be okay with that. If they liked me, they liked me. If they didn't, they didn't. But be okay with it.
Mhm.
And that's what I had to learn in myself. And you know, yeah.
No, you are good. Like I said, this is your platform. But I'm glad that you said that, because then, you know, I realized that about myself as well. I mean, I felt like I'm doing for you. Why can't you recognize that I'm doing for you and give me that same love back? And everybody is not wired that way.
Yes.
It
Yes.
makes sometimes it makes it more difficult.
It does. And that's something I had to learn too, is not to have, you know, I had high expectations for myself. So therefore I had high expectation for other people. And everybody's not on the same level. And I had to learn to accept people right where they're at. You know,
Right.
and not expect anything more or anything less than what they were capable of giving me. And even with my parents, I resented them for the longest, and growing up, now I know that they did the best they could with what they knew at that time. I couldn't, because I'm a parent now, and I look at some of the mistakes I made and I say, wow, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have did this, but I did the best I could with what I knew.
Mm-hmm.
There's no manual how to be a parent. This thing, you wing it. Whatever the situation is, you got to go with it, and you can't give anything that you don't have.
Absolutely.
So I learned that, and I had to accept my parents for that, and not be resentful. And what helped me too is I started writing this third book called Trauma, Healing from Trauma in Your Life. And I haven't published it yet, but it talks about, it gives you this picture of a backpack full of rocks, a rock of resentment, a rock of anger, a rock of abandonment issues, a rock of rejection. We carry these around on our backs from relationship to relationship, from situation to situation, and we haven't healed from it. And what we need to do is take out that rock of anger, take out that rock of resentment, take out that rock of unlove, take out that rock of mistrust, abandonment issues. And we will notice that the weight is lifted, that we have a freedom once we deal with those issues, and we heal from them, and we remove them out of our lives. We forgive those that need to be forgiven, and we forgive ourselves, because a lot of times we really hold ourselves accountable for things we have no control over. And we have to learn to forgive ourselves. So that's what I talked about in that book, is that healing process, how to relive it, how to start addressing it, how to remove it, how to get support. For the longest time, I didn't feel love, and I was looking for love in different people, expecting them to make me happy. Well, I had to learn, I had to find the happiness within myself. And before I could be good to anybody else, I had to be good to myself. I had to accept myself right where I was at, acknowledge those defects of characters and shortcomings that I had, and try to change them. We have to address those issues and work on them, and remove them from our lives. And we'll notice that our backpack is a lot lighter, that the weight on the shoulder is a lot lighter. We're not holding those grudges anymore, and we can move on. We can now live in the present instead of continually living in the past.
Right. Now, your books, do you address how a person can get to that point? Because I think sometimes it's easy for us to say that you have to learn to do this, or you have to ask yourself that. But sometimes a person may not have the tools to ask themselves the hard questions, or to do the work to get on the other side of that self-blame or self-doubt.
Yes, I actually asked some questions in the book to reignite. Because first thing I say, you got to make a list. You got to make a list of those traumatic incidents that you went through. And you got to make a list of the emotions that you're having behind the traumatic event, whether it be anger, resentment, those emotional baggage that we carry from a traumatic situation. Then we have to start trying to heal from it, where we acknowledge it. We don't make excuses for that situation, but we put ourselves in that shoe. We put ourselves in their shoes, and see a different side of why this traumatic incident happened, or how we could have changed something or did something different. We acknowledge it. And so, yeah, I go through the steps so that we can really heal. And that really got me, having to go through those steps and write these lists out. Really got me to a point where I could say, yeah, I went through that, but it does not define me. It does not dictate who I am today. I don't have to keep reliving that over and over. I can release it and let it go. Now that I've talked about it, I can release it now. It's no longer a weight over me. It's no longer keeping me captive. It's no longer keeping me from trusting people, and then, you have to learn. It's hard to trust people, but you have to learn that everybody's not out to hurt you. Everybody's not out to do you wrong. And, a lot of times when we've been hurt so much, or we tend to think everybody, we put a shield up and we say, okay, how are you going to be to me before I trust you? No, go in that relationship with trust. Now, if they break that trust, they weren't worthy to have your trust, and move on. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So now, and I saw that you speak to women who are in recovery programs and prisons. So is this something that you've built a platform doing? Is there a certain program that you visit, or do you go to various programs to speak?
Yes, I go to different rehabs.
Okay.
When sometimes they ask me to come if they've heard me speak, but on a weekly basis, I go to a particular rehab and talk to the women there about different topics in Narcotics Anonymous, in different areas of our life, whatever it may be, medication and recovery, or self-acceptance, getting rid of those obsession and compulsions, abstinence, different topics that I'll talk about with the women. And I also go to the prison on the first Saturday of every month, and I talk to the women that are locked up, that don't see any hope for their lives, because, I went to rehab myself, and when I got out, I associated with the same people that I had associated with before, and I got back into drugs.
I was about to say that makes the recovery harder.
Yes, and it made it that I did learn some stuff in recovery, but because I chose to go back to those old people, places, and things, I ended up going back out there. So I talked to them about, hey, you don't want to go back to those people, places, and things that were doing the same thing you were doing when you was in your active addiction. You don't want to go around somebody that's still using. It either two things that happen. Either you'll, and this is unlikely that you'll get them to be to stop using. Majority of time, it's said that they'll get you to start using. So trying to let their time that God has sat them down in rehab or sat them down in the jail to be worth it, to have a learning experience that, okay, I have to make this change in my life. I have to do what needs to be done. I can't listen to those obsession and that compulsion to use. I have to abstain. I have to just, stop and don't put myself in those predicaments. If you were a club goer, you can't go to the club no more, because now there's drinking and drugging in those clubs. So that is going to have to change. Also, I talked to them about changing their life, because changing your life is scary. Yes. When you're doing something all the time and it was regular, it's scary. It's hard. And I know for me, when I first stopped using and I was going to Narcotics Anonymous meetings, which helped me a lot, I was like, oh, this life is boring. This new life is boring. I don't got no excitement, but I had to learn to accept that about my life. Maybe I was a boring person, you know. I had to learn to be more energetic and be outgoing and talk to people, because you know, when you're in addiction, you live an isolated life. You tend to isolate a lot,
Yeah.
and even when you have mental issues or you are untrusting of people, you isolate. So there's different numbers. And one thing they say in the basic text is that this is the basic text that Narcotics Anonymous have. It says we were addicts long before we picked up the drug. So there were things about us that we had addictive behavior towards, and we had issues and stuff that the addiction is just the symptom. This is what we picked up because of something we don't want to deal with, or something that we don't know how to deal with. Like for me, with pain in my back and having that sciatic nerve going down my leg, you know, and not getting the help I needed, or, you know, being shameful that I was in addiction, shameful that, you know, I retired, but I felt like a failure because I couldn't work. And and so dealing with those feelings, I didn't want to feel. So we have to get to the root of why we started using, why we do the things we do.
Right.
And once you get to the root of that, the sky's the limit.
Wow. That's big.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess also we've got to remind people that it's not an easy process. And I know sometimes we make it seem like, okay, all you have to do is stop going to the club. All you have to do is ask yourself the questions, but it's not going to be something that's going to happen in a day. And it's not going to be, there are going to be some times where you might relapse or you might make a mistake. It doesn't mean that, okay, it's done for, there's no hope now.
Right. And that's something that we see a lot when people relapse. I had relapse in my story, you know, and when I relapsed, I felt shameful. I felt embarrassed. I felt like I was going to be judged, you know, because I was doing service commitment in the Narcotics Anonymous meeting. I was chairing the meeting, you know, and then I stopped going to meetings. COVID happened. I had surgery on my foot, and I stopped doing the things. I stopped reading my literature. I stopped praying. I stopped going to meetings. I stopped doing the things that helped me get clean in the first place.
Yeah,
And
because you felt like, okay, I'm good now. I don't need to keep going.
right. And because of that, you know, I went out with my friend. I had a drink. The next thing I know, I was taking shots. The next thing I know, I was looking for my drug of choice. So we tell people today, even if you didn't have a problem with alcohol, you do now, because alcohol or weed will lead you down the road to getting whatever that drug of choice you wanted. It's a gateway drug. It's going to take you, you know, this disease of addiction is progressive, you know, and it lies dormant within ourselves, you know.
Yes.
I tell them it's like, this is crazy, but I say it's like having herpes, where it lies dormant in your body, and you wouldn't do certain things because of it, but because it lies dormant in your body, it can flare up at any time. And you
Right.
have to be cautious whether you need to take medicine or you need to be abstinent, whatever the case may be for that disease. You know, they say in the basic text that if you have allergic to peanuts or something, would you still eat it, knowing
Right.
that it's going to cause you to swell up or do all these things? The same thing with addiction. The same with drugs. Would you still use that drug knowing that it's going to cause you to have car accidents? It's going to cause you to have wrecks. It's going to cause you to be in jail. It's going to cause you to hallucinate, be schizophrenic. It's going to cause you to black out. Would you still do the drug knowing that
Right. Right.
reaction to that situation? You have to treat yourself with care. You have to practice self-love on yourself. You have to practice that self-care. And that's something that, I had to do. I had to seek mental health counseling because it was unresolved issues from my past that I couldn't deal with. And when I got clean, I realized, because I was still angry and bitter and being clean, I was angry and bitter and resentful. And I'm like, okay, this can't be the way clean needs to be. Being clean and being and not using drugs. I'm still irritable. I'm still, I need to address me now. I need to go to counseling. I need to talk about these things. I need to get healing from these things. And it's nothing embarrassing to go to counseling.
Yeah,
And
I'm very glad that we in recent years we started to normalize getting counseling and getting help, going to therapy. Because at one time that was something that was like a source of shame, or in our community we thought it was something that only rich white people did. Regular Black folks don't do it, and then so many people just normalize things that they didn't need to normalize. We thought having depression was just somebody with an attitude problem, and they just need to cheer up. So I'm really glad that we've started normalizing getting help.
yes, because for years I dealt with depression, and I couldn't change how I felt. I had to have mood stabilizers. So I take medication today
Mm.
to help me stabilize my mood because I was diagnosed with major depression disorder. So everything that and even borderline personality disorder, where you see everything as black or white, either it's all good or it's all bad. There was no in between. So I had to learn how to shift from those thinking. It was like, you are a bad person. You did this, you're bad. There was no in between. It was no, and that's something that I had to learn in Narcotics Anonymous, where I didn't have no brothers and sisters growing up. So I never had anybody to talk to or to learn social skills. I didn't learn how to bicker and be okay and still love you the same. I didn't learn those things. So when we bickered or had some kind of disagreement, that means I cut you off.
Mm.
And that's how I lived. So I lived a very lonely life because I was always cutting people off. And I had to learn that you don't have to cut somebody off if they do something that you disagree with. You can disagree. It's just so many learning curves. I had to go through so much to get through all of the traumatic situations that I have been through. I had so much scarring and so much unhappiness in my life. And today I can finally say that I'm content with me. I'm content to the fact that I was an addict. I'm a recovering addict today. I'm not that active addict. That I did go through domestic violence and abuse. I was stalked. I did go through those situations. My dad did leave me. I did go through abandonment issues. My mother drank. So she was there present, but she was mentally checked out. And I grew up trying to figure this stuff out on my own. So it took me a long time to get to the point where I'm at now. I'm 55 years old, and I'm just now finding, the healing process, the freedom of not dwelling on your past and living the life of turmoil. And like you said, it's a progress. It's a process. We didn't become addicts overnight, or we didn't become depressed or distrustful overnight. Those are things. It's a process, and you tackle one thing at a time. We can't erase everything in our lives. So yeah.
Well, this was a conversation I believe that needed to be had. So I hope that the right ears heard it. So the name of your book is, well, go ahead and hold them up. Yeah, there we go. So we have,
Okay, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
Holding me back brick by brick about my struggle with addiction.
Yes.
And Silent Cry about my journey through domestic violence and abuse. And next year I'll be having trauma coming out. So yes, and you can find my books on you can go to my website to see what events and stuff that I'm having. The website is www.mattie, Mattie Leonard, Leonard, or you can find me on my Facebook, Mattie, Mattie.e.Leonard, Leonard.
Well, I did put your website as well as your Amazon link in the chat. So I hope that everyone who needs this book will go and support this book, because it sounds like there's some great information in it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for allowing me to be on your show.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. I'm sorry you weren't able to meet Gwen tonight, but she had a rehearsal that she needed to go to. So I told her I would hold it down for her.
Yes. It's good to have friends you can count on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening. Congratulations on all that you've accomplished, and please stay in touch. We hope to connect again soon.
Oh, I'll be out there for the Black Book Festival in October.
Oh, I'm looking for you in October. I'll be there as well.
Yes, I'll be there in Houston.
Okay. Well, you have a wonderful evening. God bless you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, that was Mattie Leonard. We are now about to move on to our final guest for the night, Mr. Elmo Hudson. And he is coming in. I was almost afraid that he wasn't coming back because he came on early and then he left. And I was like, uh-oh, I hope he's coming back. And it looks like he came back. So I'm very happy about that. Mr. Elmo, are you there? You got to turn on your camera. And then you also have to unmute so we can hear you. Okay, see. All right. While Mr. Elmo is getting that together, I will let you know who he is. He is the author of First Survival of Alzheimer's, Healed by the Holy Spirit. So, and his book is available on Amazon, and I'll put his website in the chat for you in case you'd like to look it up, which I hope you very much do. Okay, so he's in the chat. You guys can't see him yet because he hasn't turned on his camera, but I'm hoping that he will turn on his camera and unmute very soon so we can chat with him. But Mr. Elmo is a former boxer, and did I hear him? There he is.
Yes. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, I was getting worried. I was like, he came into the chat, but then he got quiet on me.
Yeah, ready to go.
Well, I like your hat and your t-shirt.
Thank you.
So I was just about to tell the audience who you were. So I'm going to let you tell your own story.
Okay. Yes, I am Elmo Hudson, author of First Survival of Alzheimer's, Healed by the Holy Spirit, and confirmed with medical evidence.
Now, so you said that you were healed from Alzheimer's. When did you first realize that you had it?
Well, I was on a doctor's. I went through a 17-year civil rights lawsuit against General Motors. And that's how it came all about. And I was hospitalized, or I was under a psychiatrist for 26 years, under a psychologist for 21 years, and another one for 5 years. 26 years with high blood pressure, 8 hospitalization mental hospitals. Everything went away at the same time. On 6/23/2008, I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. In 7 years, I was supposed to be bedridden. On 6/23/2015, I was healed and confirmed with medical evidence on 5/9/2012, 6/26/2014, and 8/18/2015, and by another neuropsychology doctor on 7/10/2017. I was supposed to be dead and buried now. Out of 60 million people worldwide, only one guy has chose to heal in our time, just like it happened 2,000 years ago in the Bible time.
That is amazing. So you have actual empirical evidence that you were healed of Alzheimer's.
Yes, I know. Yes, I have evidence after evidence. My psychologist, I was under 26 years, and a psychiatrist 26 years, to say they don't want to send me to a new psychology doctor because they thought I had Alzheimer's. And when I did the test and everything, they said you had Alzheimer's, and they wanted me to be under do a power of attorney and everything. But I was here prior to that time and everything, so I didn't have to, go through all that and so forth, et cetera.
Wow.
And I mean, it has continued. The blessings, the prayers have continued to happen. I'm going through a 17-year, or not 17, but I still put my mom trust in the state. On 6/1/8/2013. That's 11 years ago. And I'm still going through it. But I have all my prayers have been answered. Everything's been answered. Everything's in my favor 100%. That's what the power of the Holy Spirit can do. That's just proving what dedication can do. And the way I started out with my Christian faith on 9/5/1972, as a single young man, I dedicate my life to fasting and praying. I fasted for the first 6 years when I was single. I fasted for 604 days. Then 200 and some days after being married to my wife. And the reason I was married to my wife, my sister had agreed that she was going to become my wife. My sister witnessed to her when she was in the 10th grade at Sexton High School. And she got saved at African-American church, Bethlehem, her temple, apostolic faith. And she was there for 15 years. And when my sister had that dream and everything, when I was in California visiting her in San Pablo, California, and she believed that dream so much that she took a little baby girl, maybe about 6 months old, and flew back to Lansing with me and invited my wife, Kathy Cobb at the time, Kathy Hudson, to our Bible study on a Saturday. Saturday was over at my folks' house. And she came. She and her mom came. And I didn't see her again until she got her sabbatical at Michigan State University through Lansing Community College. And so when she finished that, she started coming up driving all the way from one part of Lansing all the way to Charlotte, Michigan, about 22 or 3 miles. Every Saturday she would come. And my pastor brother, who was white, he had agreed that Kathy was going to become my wife, and told her. And she told him, she asked him, did you tell Elmo? The rest is history. Kids, all of that college degrees and everything. And so I've been very blessed, and grief does happen. And I asked my mom, I said, how did you know that I was going to get saved? And she said, a mother knows her children. I never would have knew I was that worst one. I never would have knew that. But she knows. She knows. Yeah, so I've had a great Christian life, and I've been dedicated, ever since I became a Christian, 1972. And I'm still continuing. I've continued on that journey. I haven't slipped back or did anything. I've been dedicated 100%. I've spent my life in studying the Bible, memorizing the scriptures, memorizing a doctrine, going out and witnessing. My brother running revival. He was supposed to be an evangelist. And anyway, he came to Lansing and ran revival, and I got filled with the Holy Spirit under his revival. And a friend of mine had been shot in the temple. And I had invited him to come to church. He was paralyzed, one side died, and he had died, they say, on the operating table. But he came back alive, shot in the temple. And he's paralyzed on one side. And we overcame. And he came, I invited him to church. He came with me, and my brother called him up to the altar. He came up there, and the Spirit of God came on him, and he started crying, started moving his arm and legs. And he walked up to me, and said, come on. And so I got up, went to the altar, and my brother said, just say, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I said, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Then my sister came and said, keep saying, thank you, Jesus. Spirit of God touched me, and I started crying, and started speaking in the heavenly language. And I went home, I threw the drugs away, the alcohol, my old friends and everything, and I've been going straight ever since. 1972, that happened.
Wow. Now, when did you decide to write your book?
Well, I decided to write the book when I was here from Alzheimer's. That's why I decided to write my book. But I went through, well, my first book was Box of the Year, Hudson versus GM, because I was Michigan Capital City first African American Box of the Year, and first be awarded the New Evans Appreciation Trophy. Who was the head coach? He had head of everything to set everything up in our Mid Michigan. All the boxing teams, and they came together every Wednesday night to watch the fights. And that's why I was awarded the New Evidence Appreciation Trophy. But I wasn't boxing for him. I was boxing for a black coach, Dick Lance, and everybody know him. And but I didn't know when they trained. And so I started going there, you know. So they're training down there. And so I basically had to train myself, you know, but I was in A1 shape. And I made sports memories. I was beating everybody. And that's how I make sports memories. And was nominated for them. And then I was back to the Vietnam War.
Yes.
On the third U.S. Army boxing team at Fort McClellan in Elton, Alabama. And then we went to the Army boxing tournament at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, 1967. And I was nominated for the Army boxing team there. And 2 months later, I was shipped to Cameron Bay, Vietnam, from Oakland Freight Yard through by ship. We arrived there on the 24th day. We stopped on the 23rd day. We stopped at the Philippine Islands overnight, where we couldn't get off the ship. And the next day, we arrived in Cameron Bay, Vietnam.
Wow. So
I was in the world at that time.
you spent a lot of your time in Vietnam on the boxing team.
No.
Okay.
No. That was before.
Okay, got it.
And then Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and then I was, you know, went back to my home base, Fort McClellan, Alabama, and then about 3 or 4 months later, I was shipped to Cameron. My orders came in to be shipped to Cameron Bay, Vietnam.
Got it. And
then when I got out of the service, Evidence was saying that he heard that I got killed in Vietnam. So they had a standing ovation for me at the Lansing Separate Center. You know what I'm saying? I said, I'm gonna box so many years to let them know I'm still here. I'm still alive. And that's why I box. In 1965, yeah.
Wow. So you have led quite a life.
Oh yeah. Yes, I have. Yeah. But what my experiences prepared me, you know, the zeal I have for the world, I turn it over and start serving Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Look how I've been blessed, you know, with Alzheimer's, 26 years under a psychologist, 26 years of high blood pressure, 26 years or so under a psychiatrist, at least 8 hospitals in mental hospitals. I thought it was seven, but my wife said I was in another city and she came to visit me, so that's 8. eight hospitalizations, you know, but I was healed from everything at one time at my church convention. It started at my church convention in Louisville, Kentucky. And the Spirit God was real strong there, and beautiful spiritual words and everything, singing, choir singing, everything, and so forth, and worship and praising. And so when it was over, that was a 3-day convention. And so when it was over, I got in my car and I was driving down Dixie Highway, and I turned to go on the exit to go on the expressway to go over the Louisville Bridge. And the Holy Spirit came on me, and I started crying, and moving my upper body for about 2 or 3 minutes, and nothing, just normal, nothing. They would come back for 2 or 3 minutes, and that did about 3 hours. And I knew that I was healed from Alzheimer's, 26 years high blood pressure, 26 years on a psychiatrist, 26 years under a psychologist, at least 8 hospitals in a mental hospital. Everything went away at the same identical time. And my psychologist, I was under 26 years, Dr. Beecroft, psychiatrist, Dr. William Beecroft. But after I gave him my testimony, he said, you know, a lot of people say that, but they always come back. You know, he said, but not me, I'll be coming back. You know, and then my psychologist, who was African American, Dr. Hilton Thomas,
Yeah.
he said about the same identical thing. He said, you'll be back. And I said, no, I won't. She said,
Yeah.
I know you want, not by yourself, but your wife will be bringing you back. I came back. Oh, the Holy Spirit. That's it. So
And you proved them wrong.
yeah, I proved them wrong, that's for sure. Yeah. I've been so blessed. So blessed. I mean, all my Christian life. It wasn't I've been blessed, you know, just overwhelmingly, financially, spiritually, naturally, all kind of ways. I've been blessed 100% in every aspect of my life.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, Veronica Bossman, Lady DeBar, she's one of our viewers. She said that you are a part of history. You've
Yes.
accomplished so much in your life. You've been through so much, and you're still here and you're still serving God. That is huge.
Yes. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's history. That's true. Yeah, I went to a 17-year civil rights lawsuit against General Motors, and they said it couldn't be won, you know. But from October August of 1983 until December 2000, to the year 2000, December 2000 when it was over. They said, you know, well, we wouldn't be able to do anything for you and everything. But I kept the faith. I kept working. I kept going. I never quit. My prayers have continued to be answered, and I continued to work. And so anyway, the judge said, well, you don't have a civil rights lawsuit, you know. And my last attorney was African American, and he said, you know, we're gonna have to just to appeal it. And he said he had taken another job in Mississippi teaching at some university there, and so when the case came up, then he came back and represented me. That made me, and he said, you know, it's time to give it up. You know, he says it's been going on 17 years, a long time. Gentleman's not gonna give you anything. I said, God did not bring me this far for me to quit.
Amen.
He's gonna bless me. And so anyway, he called me a few days later and said, General Motors asked him to ask me how much would I take to sell a case. And I gave him a figure. And he called me a couple of days later and said, I got news for you. General Motors gonna give you what you want. Yeah, I was blessed. I was blessed that, and I got total and permanent disability also. And all three of my kids received a check, $200 a piece until they turned 18 or graduate from high school, and a lump sum of $13,000. And I gave every bit of it to them. Lastly, you want to give 10% to the church? They just hear a small bit. They said, yeah. And so I took 10% and gave to the church. Yeah.
Wow. So for those in the audience who are trying to follow along, Mr. Elmo started off in the Army. He was a boxer, and then he was deployed to Vietnam. And he served in Cam Bay. After he left the Army, later on, he started working for General Motors. And no,
I was working for General Motors prior to, I was drafted while I was working at General Motors.
Got
But
it.
I was in the process of, I said, this is just too hard. You know, I'm gonna try to find me another job, but that saved me. That saved me.
Got you.
I did special service, and that was good.
And then you had a lawsuit, a civil rights lawsuit.
Yeah, civil rights lawsuit. Yeah, against General Motors. Yep. 17 years. August of 1983 to December 2000.
Wow. Okay,
Yep.
so that was after the diagnosis of Alzheimer's.
No.
Okay.
That was before.
That was before. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was down in Alzheimer's 6/23/2008. 2008.
Okay, got it.
2008. See, that was August 1983. You know, summer 2000.
And then you were healed from Alzheimer's.
Yes.
And then you wrote your book.
Yeah. Well, I was healed from Alzheimer's. 26 years I'm a psychologist. 26 years I'm a psychiatrist. 8 hospitals in a mental hospital, and 26 years with high blood pressure. 8 hospitalization in mental hospitals.
Now, like I said, you have
everything went away at the same time. Nobody believed it, but here I am. In 7 years, I've supposed to been bedridden. 6/23/2015.
Now, have you changed, like for instance, are you being active, or have you changed the way you eat? Have you done any of those types of changes as well?
No, I'm, you know, I'm just dedicated. I'm working on my mind, stress and safe for the last 11 years now. And I've got all the evidence, all the facts and everything, I wasn't supposed to get anything. I was told by an attorney, only a trustee in the state attorney, that only the trustee has the power to get anything. You can get her documents, we can't do anything. We can ask for them, if they don't give it to us, nothing we can do, but I got everything. Every prayer I pray has been answered. Took 11 years, but I got everything. Holy
Do
Spirit.
you have your book with you?
Oh, let's see. I thought I had one upstairs. Wait, yeah, I do. Yes, I do.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hold it up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
There we go. First Survival of Alzheimer's, Healed by the Holy Spirit.
Yes. Yeah, and it talks about all the fasting that I did in the beginning of my Christian life, 600 and some days when I was single, and a couple over 200 days when I was married, then with 3 kids and everything. I proved myself worthy to follow the Lamb. I proved myself, being single, and staying faithful all those years. But that was the hardest job I ever had, was staying single. But Lord bless me. Bless me.
Well, I did put your website in the chat, hudsonvgm.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you go around? Do you speak to groups? Do you talk about your diagnosis and your
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube? I'm all over the internet. I'm everywhere. Give my testimony all the time.
Well, I mean, it's a testimony that needs to be told. I mean,
That's right. That's true.
Not everybody's blessed to have this testimony.
That's right. That's true. It's the best decision I ever made in my life is when I became a Christian. I love it. And to qualify for eternal existence. That's the most important thing in my life. It's eternal life. That's all I want.
Amen to that. Amen.
Like Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all its righteousness, then all these things should be added unto you. And I've done that. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all its righteousness, then all these things should be added unto you. And 3 John 2 said, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prosper in thee. It came to pass in my life. So I live.
Wow. I mean, like I said, I mean, just everything that you have been through and that you are still here to talk about it, and you're still here to share your testimony and to encourage other people, that in itself is a blessing.
Yes, sure is. Yeah, I've been very blessed all my Christian life. All through my Christian life, I've had so many beautiful things happen. I was on my way back from my church convention in Louisville, Kentucky, and I was listening to my mom's old tape recorder. And I got close to the Indiana line, and I, about a mile from there. So, and I just listened to the tape, and I didn't know. And all of a sudden, I noticed the car that was ahead of me. I came up to it about 3 car, 3 or 4 car lengths behind. It was stopped on the expressway, and I hit the brakes. It was sliding just as fast, and it seemed like something happened. But right in there, I just thought I felt something happen right there, and then all of a sudden I noticed my car wasn't moving.
Wow.
And the car in front of me had stopped, and when I had rolled my window down and looked out, looked out, it was a whole slew of cars as far as you can see. It must have been an accident or a construction site or something. But if that would be the chick, I would have killed myself in the car in front of me and had 2 little kids looking in the back.
You were protected that night. You were protected.
That's right. I sure was. I said, that could have restored me. And another time I was going to the Church of God in Christ. When I first became a Christian, I was praying for a wife. And I went to Church of God in Christ youth conference in Missouri. And anyway, On my way back, I had a couple girls from the church, you know, so forth. I was church at Christ at the time. I was going to, and so anyway, I was looking for a wife, you know, praying for a wife and everything. And I went there, and I was on my way back, and cop pulled me over, and he said, he asked me, "Are you trailing that car in front of you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm not gonna give you a ticket." You know, he let me go.
Mm.
And but on my way to the church of God in Christ, I think it was in Battle Creek, I believe it was, and that's about 40 miles from Lansing, Michigan, where I live, and then so anyway, this car came up to me with two girls in the front seat and like two kids in the back seat, and they came up to me and did like this, you know. So I just kept going, you know, and they caught up with me again, and then I tried to get them, you know. And I said, I said, I'm gonna speed up. I'm getting away from them. And so I go, we're ahead of them, and they caught up with me and looked at the real me and just took off, you know, like that, and I went around this a semi and lost control and went, got tipped over about 3 or 4 times.
That is scary.
Yeah, 3 or 4 different times, and I stopped, and I went back. You know, I said, Jesus, Jesus, and I stopped, and I went back, and look, and her driver was looking at me, smiling, had a little blood coming out of the back. That's all. All was everything's all right. You know,
Wow.
what you don't know how that would have affected me if they had been killed. That's the Lord intervening my hand once again. Those are the type of things.
Yeah, like I said, you have favor, and that's why you're still here to tell this story and to share everything that you've been through. So, I mean, thank you for coming on the show tonight to share your experiences and to share your healing.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. So, can you remind everybody where they can find your book?
Yes, you can order the book from Barnes and Nobles, Amazon.com, Arthur House Publishing Company, UR Link, you know, so many places, but it's all on the internet. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all my books on there and everything. You can find everything there.
And they can find your social media channels as well as links to your book on your website, which is in the chat.
Yes, yes. And I just took out a program, well, not really a program. They're doing an audio of me, of my life, on this company from Canada.
Okay.
Canada. Let's say Britain. Britain, Canada. Britain, Columbia, let's see, Britain. Let's see, Britain, Columbia, Canada. I've never been there before, but
you're talking about.
The name of the book, the name of the company is Explore Books. EXPLORA Books. And they sent me all kinds of screenplays and everything, and they're gonna try to make a movie out of it and everything. And you know, but this is the real thing here. This year, I've had several book companies, you know, publish my book and everything, but they were they wasn't for real. You know,
I hear you.
They sounds like money, but this one here,
you're on the path that you need to be on.
This one here is genuine. This is real. Yeah, they sent me all these different information and you know, audios and string plays and all that. You know, I mean, they're beautiful. And supposed to send it to 8 different countries overseas and help speak in their language.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, Mr. Elmo, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the interview, but once again, I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story. I know we've tried to have you on the show before, and we have had you on the show before. So thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you have a wonderful evening, and God bless you. And keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I will.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, we have come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for just supporting the show, helping the show to grow, supporting the authors who are on the show. This is what this is all about. This is what Black Authors Matter TV is all about. So thank you so much. Gwen will be back next week, as will I. And I do want to invite you to follow my new Instagram page, which I am putting in the chat right now. It's called MTW Literary Horizons, where I will continue promoting authors, independent authors. I would love to see you guys there. Follow the page. We're trying to connect more independent authors with dedicated readers just like you. So thank you once again for supporting. I want you to have a wonderful evening. Have a great week. I'm your girl, Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Gwen will be back next week. And enjoy your evening.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.